The gym had always been a place of quiet focus for me. No distractions, no unnecessary drama, just iron, effort, and discipline. It wasn't anything fancy, just a solid gym with decent equipment, regulars who knew the unspoken rules, and the occasional influencer angling for the perfect shot. Most people kept to themselves, respecting the shared space. But, of course, there was always one. For months, he'd been there, loud, arrogant, acting as if the gym belonged to him alone. Let's call him Derek. He was big, sure, but he wanted everyone to know it. The type to flex between sets, to drop weights unnecessarily just to make noise, to stare at himself in the mirror like he was the second coming of Schwarzenegger. But his worst habit? Equipment hoarding. If Derek claimed a squat rack, it was his kingdom for the next hour. Never mind that others were waiting, never mind that he'd spend more time scrolling his phone than actually lifting. He had a standard response for anyone who dared ask to work in. Nah, bro. You wouldn't keep up. Just do something else. Most people took the hint and backed off. No one wanted to argue with a guy like that. It wasn't worth the hassle. But every time he got away with it, his ego swelled a little more. I had let it slide before. Until one day, he pulled that same stunt on the wrong person, me. The gym was packed that evening. Every rack, every bench, every machine had a queue forming. I had a clear workout plan: squats, leg press, Romanian deadlifts, the usual. But, of course, Derek was planted in the squat rack, half-repping his way through a mediocre set before taking another 5-minute texting break. I gave him time. 10 minutes passed, then 15. He wasn't lifting, just lingering, scrolling, wasting space. So finally, I walked over. Hey, man. Mind if I work in? He didn't even glance up at first, just smirked at his screen. Then, with that signature smugness, he looked at me and said, "No, bro. You wouldn't keep up." I stared at him for a moment, trying to process the sheer audacity. It's a squat rack, not your personal throne. I just need a few sets. He shrugged, unfazed. I lift more than you, so I should get first dibs. A slow breath. I could have argued, could have let frustration take over. But I had a better idea. I turned and walked straight toward the trainer's desk. Ben was there. Not just a trainer, but the trainer. A world champion powerlifter. A literal record holder. He never bragged about it, never made a show of his strength, but if you knew, you knew. And one thing Ben hated was gym bullies. He glanced up as I approached. "What's up?" "Got a guy at the squat rack refusing to let anyone work in," I said. "Says he lifts more than everyone, so he gets priority." Ben raised an eyebrow, then sighed. He set down the dumbbells he'd been holding and followed me across the gym. Derek was mid-text when we walked up. He had 3 plates on the bar, not bad, but I'd never seen him squat below parallel in his life. He noticed us in the mirror and straightened, cracking his neck like he was preparing for a dramatic confrontation. "Yo, what's up?" he said, feigning nonchalance. Ben didn't answer right away. He just glanced at the weights, then back at Derek. "I hear you think the strongest person gets priority." Derek grinned. "Yeah, man. Just makes sense, right?" Ben nodded slowly. "I lift more than you." Silence. The smirk twitched. "Heh." "I lift more than you," Ben repeated, calm as ever. "So by your logic, I get the rack." Derek blinked, his bravado cracking. I was just..." Ben cut him off. "Tell you what. Let's put it to the test. You and me, right now. Squat off. Whoever lifts more keeps the rack." The gym went silent. 1 moment ago, it had been filled with the usual noise, music pumping, weights clanking, chatter from people resting between sets. Now, you could hear a pin drop. Derek's eyes darted between the plates, the trainer, the onlookers. His brain was working overtime, searching for an escape route. Finally, he forced out a laugh. "Ah, man, I already hit legs this week." Ben didn't blink. "You're squatting right now." "Yeah, but I tweaked my knee last week. Trying to take it easy." Ben nodded. "Got it. So move." Derek hesitated, fidgeting, desperately trying to salvage his pride. But there was no way out. After what felt like an eternity, he exhaled sharply, racked the bar, and muttered, "Whatever, man." Just like that, he slinked away. A few quiet chuckles rippled through the gym. No outright cheers, no applause, just the unspoken satisfaction of a community witnessing justice served. Ben didn't gloat. He didn't need to. He just turned to me, motioned at the rack, and said, "All yours." I nodded. "Appreciate it, man." As I stepped up for my set, I caught sight of Derek on the other side of the gym, pretending to stretch near the treadmills, face buried in his phone. He didn't look up. Didn't need to. Some lessons teach themselves. I figured that was the end of it. That he'd swallow his pride, adjust his attitude, and either start acting normal or avoid me entirely. Either way, I didn't care. The gym was better without his nonsense. And for a while, it seemed like that was exactly what happened. He was quieter after that. No more grunting, no more slamming weights, no more sneering at newbies. He still showed up, still lifted, but the smugness was gone. He looked smaller, like something inside him had deflated. Weeks passed. Then, one night, something strange happened. I finished a deadlift session and reached for my gym bag. Except, it wasn't there. At first, I thought I had just misplaced it, but after checking every usual spot, it was gone. I went to the front desk. "Hey, did anyone turn in a black gym bag?" The guy behind the counter shook his head. "Nah, man. But I can check the cameras if you want." Most gyms wouldn't bother over something like this. But this place, they took security seriously. I shrugged. "Yeah, sure." A few minutes later, we were watching the footage. And there it was. Derek. Walking over to where my bag had been, looking around, then casually picking it up like it belonged to him. No hesitation, no second guessing, just took it and walked right out the door. My jaw clenched. I had left him alone. Hadn't spoken to him, hadn't even acknowledged his existence. And this was how he repaid that mercy. The guy at the desk let out a low whistle. "Damn. That's messed up." I nodded slowly. "Yeah. It is." "Want me to call him?" I thought about it. Calling him wouldn't do anything. He'd deny it, make up some weak excuse. No, this needed a different approach. I exhaled. "No. I got this." Then, I waited. Because Derek came to the gym at the same time every night. And tomorrow, he wouldn't see me coming. I arrived an hour early, working through a light routine while keeping an eye on the entrance. I knew he'd come. Derek was predictable like that. And sure enough, right on time, he strolled in, completely oblivious, carrying himself with that same false confidence, as if nothing had happened. I didn't wait. The moment he passed me, I spoke. "Hey, Derek. Got a minute?" He hesitated. I saw it, a flicker of something uncertain in his eyes before he smothered it beneath a forced smirk. "Yeah, what's up?" No small talk. No pleasantries. "You took my bag." His face barely twitched, but it was there. The reaction. Then, like clockwork, he scoffed. "What? Nah, man, I don't know what you're talking about." I crossed my arms. "They have it on camera." Silence. A little too long. Then, he laughed. Actually laughed. "Dude, chill. I thought it was mine. Honest mistake." I didn't blink. "Cool. So give it back." The laugh faded. His weight shifted. His fingers twitched at his sides. Yeah, about that." I already knew. Before he even opened his mouth, I knew. "I don't have it anymore." Something cold settled in my stomach. "You don't have it anymore." He rubbed the back of his neck, trying to look sheepish, but I saw the lie forming before he even finished speaking. "Yeah, left it in my car and someone broke in. Stole it." I just stared at him. He wasn't even trying to make it believable. "So let me get this straight," I said slowly. "You took my bag by accident. Then you left it in your car. And then, your car got broken into, and the only thing they stole was my gym bag." He nodded. Dead serious. I exhaled through my nose, slow and measured. A dozen ways to handle this ran through my mind. I could have gone straight to management, gotten him banned on the spot. I could have let it go, chalked it up to stupidity and moved on. But Derek had already shown me something he didn't learn. So I decided to teach him. "All right," I said. "Let's go check your car." He froze. What?" "Your car," I repeated. "Let's go see the damage. Maybe they dumped the bag nearby." His eyes darted around, desperate for an out. I mean, no, man. It's been a few days. I already cleaned it out. So let's go check. I started walking toward the door. He had no choice but to follow. What was he going to do? Admit he was lying? Not a chance. He had already committed. Now, he had to play along. We stepped into the parking lot. I glanced at him. Which one's yours? He hesitated, then pointed at a dented grey sedan a few rows down. Cool, I said. Let's see the damage. He hesitated again, then, in the most pathetic attempt at a distraction I had ever seen, he patted his pockets and went, "Oh, man. I think I left my keys inside. Let me go grab." "Open the car, Derek." He didn't move. The gym doors swung open behind us, and I heard footsteps. A few regulars stepped outside, guys who had been there for the squat rack incident. They stopped, sensing the tension. Watching. Derek's hands shook. "Dude, just drop it, all right?" His voice was lower now. "It's just a bag, man." I stepped closer. "Then why'd you take it?" He swallowed hard. His jaw clenched. "I told you, I thought it was mine." I didn't say anything. Just waited. Silence is powerful. If you use it right, people panic. They scramble to fill the void, to justify, to fix. Derek cracked first. "Look, man. You want to know the truth?" His voice was quieter now. I tilted my head slightly. "I was just messing with you, all right? After the whole squat rack thing, He stopped himself. I didn't move. There it was. This wasn't an accident. Wasn't a mistake. He had taken my stuff on purpose. He saw my expression shift and immediately started backtracking. "Dude, come on. It wasn't a big deal. I was gonna give it back, but then," he hesitated, scrambling. "I kinda gave it away." I blinked. "Gave it away?" He nodded too quickly. Yeah. Like, I didn't think you'd actually care about it that much, man. I gave it to my cousin." I exhaled slowly. "You gave my gym bag to your cousin?" "Yeah, man, but listen, it's cool. I'll just call him." I cut him off. "Call him. Right now." His mouth opened. Closed. Opened again. "You don't have a cousin, do you?" The silence told me everything. I could have ended it there. Could have gone straight to the gym manager, made sure he never stepped foot in this place again. I could have even called the police, made this a real problem for him. But that wasn't satisfying enough. Because Derek wasn't just a liar. He was a coward. He only acted tough when he thought no one would challenge him. He bullied smaller guys, intimidated beginners. But the second someone pushed back, he folded. So I was going to make sure he felt this. "All right," I said. "You don't have my bag anymore. That's fine. You're going to replace everything in it, the belt, the wraps, the shaker, the headphones. Everything." His eyes widened. "Man, dude, that's expensive. Should have thought about that before you stole it." He opened his mouth again, probably to argue, but one of the regulars behind us coughed. Derek flinched. He realized, in real time, that everyone was listening. "Fine," he muttered. Louder now, through gritted teeth. "Fine." "Good," I said. "Meet me back here in 2 hours. You better have everything." He nodded once, then practically ran to his car. I watched him drive off. Beside me, Nate, one of the quieter regulars, chuckled. "Dude's a clown." I nodded. "Think he's actually coming back?" I smiled. "Doesn't matter." Because what Derek didn't know was that I had already taken this far beyond a missing gym bag. While I had been waiting for him earlier, I had talked to Ben. And Ben had connections. Real ones. Derek was about to have a very bad night.